Hello.
Hi Shivam, nice to see you again.
Always good to see you, Constantina.
Are we ready for another podcast episode?
I think we are. Let's do it.
Okay, and today we're going to talk about graduate schemes.
Yeah, and I think this is a really important conversation to have, particularly with newly arrived master's students, because they don't realise that if they haven't got a lot of work experience, these are the kind of things they need to be looking at, and they need to know where they are and what they are and when the closing dates are. So that's quite important.
It is really important, and I'm happy that we are tackling this topic down. And before we dig into the deadlines and application processes and the importance of it, can you just provide an overview of what these graduate schemes are and how they differ from regular job applications?
Okay, so you have graduate level jobs, grad jobs, and you have graduate schemes. So what graduate schemes are they're a training program. So if you've got limited work experience, what they do is they take you on, and they can be in various functions, and you will have what they call rotations over the period of your graduate scheme. So these graduate schemes vary in length. Some can be 1 year, some can be 18 months, some can be 2 years. And you will have 6 monthly rotations. Now, one of the things you need to do a grad scheme is to be flexible, because you might be moving around different functions within the business, working in different teams in the business. You might even be working in different locations in the business.
I was going to say about locations. Do you move locations?
For some of them you do. Each graduate scheme is tailored to what the company needs, and some of the bigger companies, yes, might move you from one part of the UK to the other. And obviously they're going to support you in relocating and things like that. But that's not every single one. So those are the kind of things you need to consider and do your research before you apply for these ones.
Okay, thank you very much. So that gives us an overview that it's a training scheme with rotation in different functions within the company. And it could be in one place in the UK or elsewhere, so you can change.
Well, it's usually within the UK, but it's different areas.
Okay, I know you mentioned in the beginning that it's particular, or these schemes are particularly important for postgraduate students who don't have work experience or enough work experience. So how relevant is to have work experience or some internship experience before applying for the graduate schemes?
It's useful because it's useful for you because you've tried things out, you've developed your soft skills and some of your hard skills as well, obviously, and you've got some more idea of what you like and what you're good at. But some companies will take people on who don't, say, have a year in industry or don't have a lot of short internships, who might only have part-time work or summer work. So really what recruiters are looking for is potential. The majority of these schemes are recruiting on a competency-based approach. So they're looking at your soft skills previously. They're not always linked to a degree. So for instance, if your first degree was in business and your master's is now in supply chain, or your first degree was in German and now you're doing international strategy or whatever the master's is, they're not worried too much about what you studied. Obviously, if you're going to a grad scheme for one of the big engineering companies, they want you to be a civil engineer or a mechanical engineer.
Fair enough.
That's just, a caveat there. But for the majority, they're looking at a good first degree and some good experience, part-time volunteering, as well as the internships, as well as the year in industry. They'll count those. But they're looking at what skills do you have? How are you going to fit into the team? How can they shape you for their organisation?
And that's where we go back to what you said about potential. So they're trying to find your potential. So what are the typical skills and attributes they're looking for in recent graduates?
I would say strong communication skills. I don't just mean what you say. I don't just mean how you write. I mean how you listen, how you summarise, how you question. Very keen to sort of get people thinking of communication skills as much broader than that. They're also looking for your team working, because you're going to be working in a team. They're going to be looking for your problem solving skills. So how you tackle a problem. It's not about running to your supervisor. It's about you thinking, okay, this is the issue. This is how I'm going to tackle it. So those, I think, are the three key skills. The other skills that they're looking for, they will specify on the advert and in the job description. And I think if you're doing something like a university award, like the Warwick Award, that will already have got you thinking about the skills that you have. So a bit of self-reflection about the soft skills you have, also some of the hard skills like the languages you speak. We're in a world where AI is really taking off.
Yeah.
So the ability to understand AI, the software, etc. If you can code, all of these things, those are the kind of things that recruiters will be looking for.
Okay, you take time to reflect on your skills, to try to learn how to articulate those skills. When you go for interviews and so on, you're finding ways to develop those skills. But how are they assessed at the application process?
So usually they'll either ask for a CV and a covering letter, or there'll be an application form online that'll have a series of questions that'll be like, tell me about a time when, and they'll ask for the skill, you've done this skill, what was the outcome, what did you learn from it? So when you're doing those kind of applications, using frameworks like CAR and STAR, and if you look at the student opportunity YouTube, you can see there's a video about how to tackle that. So just understanding those frameworks, that's what they're looking for you to evidence those soft skills.
And are there any specific components from the application process that the student should pay attention, a very, very focused approach, or how they should approach it?
I would say, first of all, work out what you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key thing. What do you want from a job? And what area you want to go into. So know your motivation, and then look for companies in that sector. Now you can look and go to careers fairs and pick up the Times Top 100. You can download things like the Prospects Directory. There's loads of information out there. You've got My Advantage, you've got the Prospects website, you've got Target Jobs, you've got Bright Networks, you've got all of these sources of information for those graduate jobs. So go out and look, but think about what you want.
But how about if you want to work in a very niche industry? How can you identify a graduate scheme or some training program that you can join?
So again, I'm going to say, look at Prospects because they have sector information. You can look at job profiles. They will give you hot links to take you to industry vacancy schemes. If, for instance, you want to look at something like engineering, very niche area, then Grad Cracker is a great resource there. So that's where I would be looking. But I mean, a start, if you look at Bright Networks, if you look at Target Jobs as well, they will break it down by sector. They will also give you sector insights. So if you've got an accredited master's, look at your professional body that's linked to your course. They will have also vacancies that they're advertising. So all the vacancies are out there. It's just you understanding what a grad scheme and how it's going to be beneficial to you.
That's another point I wanted to talk to you about. So a student is researching different graduate schemes, but what things they should consider when they're doing this research? What are the things that they need to really pay attention?
They need to be aware of the sector and what's going on in the sector and what the company's about, who they're working with, who their clients are. They need to be aware of themselves, so that's self-awareness, so they can answer and give those soft skills. They also need to ask themselves the question of thinking about the level of experience they've got. I know I get a lot of experience hires saying, well, can I go for a graduate scheme? And I'll say, yeah, but how much work experience have you got? Because if you've got, say, 3+ years of work experience, a lot of recruiters are going, we've got to unlearn them from what they've done there and sort of mould them into what we want. I would recommend that you look at graduate jobs. Now, graduate jobs are just graduate positions. Sometimes they're called entry-level jobs. You need at least a first degree to get into them, and they are everywhere as well. They're on Target Jobs, they're on Indeed Jobs, they're everywhere as well. And I think What you've got to remember, graduate schemes are 20% of all of the grad jobs that are out there, but they're the most visible ones because when you go to careers fairs, they're the people who are there. I also want to say you need to be aware of deadlines.
That was my next question, Siobhan. We're thinking the same on the same line. So,
As always,
what about deadlines? So, when are these schemes recruiting? When do they open? How long does the application process? Just talk me through the timeline of a graduate scheme.
So this is probably one of the most important aspects here, because they really are very focused, and some of them can be over a very short period of time when they're advertised. What we're seeing post-pandemic is most of the jobs are opening up in September. So even before someone's arrived in the UK or arrived at their university, those jobs are already live. And it's really key that you understand that depending on the sector, so if you want to go into business, they have very early closing dates of something like middle October.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
We've just arrived.
So you can't go, oh, I'll get round to that in a bit, because by the time you get round to it, they've gone. So you need to be aware of exactly when the closing dates are. Now, some will be staggered. So what we tend to see, end of November is a peak time for a lot of business function jobs. We'll see engineering start to close off, like Jaguar Land Rover used to always have a closing date at the end of the year, exactly on the end, 31st of December. Some will extend those graduate schemes out into maybe as late as end of February. Some that you see won't specify closing dates, what we call rolling deadlines. They can disappear like that.
Yes.
So if you see one you want, apply for it. No, I don't want you thinking you've got to do hundreds of applications, because you wouldn't be able to do that and your masters. So I think it's really important that you plan out and look at these deadlines and decide how many applications you are going to do, and do quality applications as opposed to quantity of applications, because I think that's where you're going to be more successful. And in terms of learning how to tackle the mechanics, because the application's the first part of the chain, go along to your workshops. Career Services run workshops. We run workshops centrally here at Warwick. So go along, learn how to do those.
Okay, so what I'm taking from this conversation is that first you start doing your research as early as possible, probably in the summer.
Yeah.
And you're ready to start applying as soon as they open. Let's say some graduate schemes open in August, even September. Apply as early as possible, but take all support available at your university to help you really craft this application so you stand out in the application.
Yeah,
that's it. Okay, so another thing is you go through the application process, you submit your application, cover letter, CV, and so on. When can students expect to hear back from the recruiter?
Some are very fast. They'll have teams that are turning around the applications very, very quickly. I think if you haven't heard within a month, maybe you could send an email and just check. Often what tends to happen though is if you don't hear, then you haven't been successful. And then that takes me on to the next stages. So after this, it'd probably be a psychometric test. There might be a video interview, and then you might get through to the assessment centre. So there are stages in the graduate recruitment process, which is why it starts so early for a job that actually doesn't begin till the year after. So you're doing all of this work, but it's one of these things that if you can get through the graduate scheme and get your job, then you can relax.
Yeah.
Everything's sorted, everything's settled. If you don't get the graduate scheme job, it's not the end of the world. It's about seeing what the graduate jobs that are there and remembering the difference. And also there's SMEs, small to medium-sized enterprises, that also recruit international graduates and postgraduates. It's just being aware, because if you're aware, you've got more choices. If you've got more choices, you're going to make a better decision. So it's just being aware of this process and what's involved. But go to careers fairs, go to career events, talk to recruiters, network with them, and speak to your career staff.
Yeah, and don't forget that the big careers fairs at universities usually take
In the
place
October.
in October, when the recruiters are very active in reaching out and getting all the talent they could.
Mm.
Okay, Shiv, so in one word, what is the benefit of getting a place on the graduate scheme?
The benefit is it's a training program. You're going to learn, you're going to be developed, you're going to be shaped. Like I said, it's something that can set you up for the future, but it's not for everyone. Some people with more experience might want to go direct to recruiters. That doesn't mean to say they can wait till the end of their course before they start doing things. They need to get in a CV prepped, they need to be networking. But I think overall, if you are somebody with limited work experience, check them out, go to careers fairs and see what schemes are out there.
Okay, thank you very much for your input, your sound
You're
advice.
welcome.
It was lovely talking to you, and until next time,
Yeah.
goodbye.
Goodbye, looking forward to next time.
Absolutely.